HelloViewing.com. This is Orlando, and I am coming to you guys live from Houston, Texas. I'm gonna do a sound check real quick. This is Orlando, and that is my new and improved sound. I went out and got this very bad boy that has given me a little bit more of a bass in my sound, so I'm very happy with my new microphone. Anyhow, we're here today with one of our students who is going to be interviewing tonight for a potential life changing position that she's going to go out and interview for. So, today's today's class is going to be specifically on what to concentrate on during the interview. Now, remember, when you're in the interviews, there's typically no second chances. There might be, but typically there's not. This is it. This is where you go out. This is where you give it your best. This is where you make a first and maybe a last impression. So it's so important for you as a candidate or somebody that's going to be interviewing or going to be interviewed. To understand a couple things, and I'm gonna lay them out today, specifically for the web hosting industry. I know there's other industries out there, and perhaps the interview process is a little different. But for web hosting, I think that the things that we have covered during these last 2 weeks are absolutely essential and appropriate. So today, we are going to talk about the main things to consider. And I do have with me one of my students who will be doing an interview with me today. And the point of this is to see how she does, how she answers the questions, and to see if I would feel comfortable hiring her after the interview. But before I do that, as always, I like to share my podcasts, my interviews, or anything that I do. So I always go on to the medium. In this case, is Facebook, Facebook Live. So I'm going to one pin that to the very top, so any of my users come in, they can see that. And two, I am going to share this on my personal page. It's always good if you do an interview. The reason that I say this is because when you have followers on any medium, Facebook or any other, specifically Facebook actually, you might have a lot of people following you, but for some reason the word doesn't get spread out too far by Facebook. So I'll throw it out there to maybe 1 or 5 or 6 people, but not too far from that. So today, like I said, we are going to continue our course here, our conversation on how to really be effective at the interview when you do go to that web hosting company, that domain registrar, or that techie company that you've been wanting to work for. Christina, how are you today?
I'm doing fine.
Now, how do you feel about today's interview?
I'm a little nervous, but I feel pretty confident.
Okay, you say you're a little nervous, right?
Yeah, because it has to be 100%.
It has to be 100%. Okay. Yep, that is true. That is one of the things that I did say to Christina, is that it needs to be 100%. And specifically because I don't want any of the information that we have gone over to just come in and out, especially because we have been very practical about it. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you been to an interview before?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your experience when going to an interview.
Well, usually it's in person, and you dress nice, you look professional, but they usually ask you a lot of questions, like scenario questions. So I'm pretty familiar with those, but this is a little bit different. I've never had a web hosting type of interview or any kind of tech like interview.
Okay. So that leads us to question number one then. And here we go. Let's see how you do. Now, this won't be as painful as you might think, but I do want you to give thoughtful answers, okay?
Okay.
Have you worked for a web hosting company before?
No, I have not.
Okay. So the first thing that you just did is you were sincere about that. No, you have not. So right off the bat, though, what value would you produce to a company, given the fact that you have not been trained in that specific field?
I apologize, sir. I have to do something for a moment. Dad, I have my interview. Yes. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No problem. No problem. Um, hey, that's what happens in live via a live interview, I guess. You get interrupted, right?
Yeah.
No
Okay.
worries,
But
no worries. Okay, so my question would be, if you are being asked, have you worked in this industry before, and you're wanting to break in, would you elaborate on that answer, or would you just settle for that specific answer? No, I have not.
no, I would share with them how interested I am in the type of work that I'm applying for,
So
basically.
I want you to do that though. So let's go ahead and ask that question again, because this is very important. This is your first, you know, your first impression. And if you're going to be asked a question, have you worked for a web hosting company? I want you to reply like you would to the interviewer. Okay, so let's go again. Have you worked for a web hosting company before?
No, I haven't worked for one before, but I'm very interested in in that type of work. I've never done it before, but I think I could be really good for the part.
Okay. So you leave yourself open for a follow up when you say I could be good for the part, because then they would ask you how so. So and you would need to have a very definitive answer. So if they did say how so,
Mhm.
how would you respond to that?
Well, I am a very quick learner, uh, and I'm a very hard worker, and I'm very punctual, and very professional in what I do.
Name me three companies here in Houston, because you're here in Houston, that are in the same industry as the one you're applying to.
HostGator. Most of the ones I know of are actually online, and it's kind of a different type of tech.
Okay,
So
which ones? Can you name a few?
there's Kelly's Services. There's one I can't really pronounce. It's like Conqueror. I'm not positive.
Okay, so you're interested in working in this industry, but you don't understand the industry. You're not familiar with it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's where you have to break off and make sure that your first answer is solid. See, you don't want to leave yourself open for, a follow up, like, if you're not experienced, then what can you bring to the table that will be the substitute, for that experience? Because honestly, that's literally what you're having to sell. Is you're saying I haven't worked for, for an industry like this. Personally, I would say I haven't worked for an industry, a web hosting industry. Regrettably, they're very limited here in Houston. There's only a few good ones, and I'm applying to one of them. What I will say is that I have taken interest in this industry. I have, studied, in regards to the tools and in regards to things that would be practical for this company. So I feel that I bring a bit of experience in that sector. So I would just offset some of your deficit with some of your positives.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of how personally I would perhaps address that. So don't just say no, I have not, but substitute your have not for, it's not because I don't want to. It's not. It's just that there's not a, web hosting company growing in every other, corner. This is a very specialized industry, and so, as such, I know that this is one of the leaders in the web hosting industry. So I want to ensure that, my technical knowledge, aligns with this company's vision and so in structure, and that's where I have been preparing myself. So you see what I'm saying? You're saying to the person interviewing you that not only are you interested, but you're also preparing for it.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so that's something that you should write down in case that is your opening statement. And don't be nervous. Again, I'm putting you on the spot here. Many times, we when we listen to a question and then we have a little bit of time to think about it, we might go back and say, "Oh, I could have done this better or not." But don't worry. I just want to make sure that I point you in the right direction. Okay, so that's one question that you would consider, answering correctly if it's asked. So now, after you have that initial opening, which is typically like you said, is industry based, getting to know you, what do you bring to the table? Why do you want to apply for this specific company? What would you say to that?
Hmm. Because I hear really good things about working there, and I think I would really enjoy it and it'd be something I'd want to stay with for as long as I'm allowed, or
I,
I'm really bad at this.
no, no. See, that's the point. If we're talking about being sincere and getting you higher, we have to address the questions that you will most likely get asked. And I'll be honest with you, most people interviewing you are not going to be as sticklers as I am. They're going to be a little more lenient. But at the same time, I want you to just go in there and knock it out of the ballpark. Um, if somebody asks you why you want to work for them, okay,
Hmm.
you want to always make them feel good that they gave you the opportunity. You never want it to be about you. It's always about an equal benefit, for a mutual benefit.
Oh,
So you always find a response that gives you that mutual benefit, answer. And so you don't want to just say, I want to learn. It's not about you. It's about, it's about you. It's about the employer, and it's about the customer. There's three people
okay.
there that you have to take in consideration. Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
All right. So I want you to think about that as well. You know,
I'm
um,
trying to take notes.
yeah, yeah, no, perfect. You got to do it, and plus the video will be up as well, so you can refresh yourself prior to going to the interview. All right, so you got those two questions out of the way, and those are just greetings. Again, it's just so you can knock it out of the park. It's not necessarily that's gonna make it or break it. People know, at least the ones that are good. At least they can tell the difference between somebody that is coming in there and is trying to pull a fast one on them, or they're dealing with a legitimate person. So they'll be able to filter it. Now, how do you feel about sales?
I think sales is kind of fun. Offering services with a friendly, attitude after maybe helping them and them trusting me. I think I could do pretty well with sales with some practice.
Okay, with them training.
Yes.
Okay, so remember what we talked about in regards to sales.
Hmm.
What's the purpose of sales?
To help the customer, right?
Absolutely. So you have to go in there with that mindset, knowing that if you are going to sell something, it's because the customer needs it. It's because it's not whether or not the customer wants it, it's because they need it. You need food to survive. you need a certain things to make yourself more relevant. There are things that the customer needs, and there's things the customer wants. You have to be able to talk to a customer and make them understand that those wants and needs are equally as important. And so when you have if somebody asks you, how do you feel about sales? And you let them know it's a great opportunity to help the customer make a purchase that will enhance their experience. It's about ensuring that the customer stays happy. So I'm all for it, and I think there's so many circumstances that sales are so appropriate. And if there is a sales aspect to this job, I certainly want to take advantage of it and help the customer succeed with their experience here. So always remember who the benefiter is from, who benefits from this specific outcome. All right, because
Okay.
a lot of times people want to say sales benefits the person doing the sales, but it's on the contrary. The end user is the one that benefits from the sales because they are the ones getting the service.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we start with, well, it's great because I can make more commission. That's a benefit, but that's not the reason. So always understand that there are benefits to it, but that's not the reason why you want to do sales. And if you are asked about sales, don't forget that, okay?
Okay.
All right. So if the person interviewing you says, how do you feel about sales? What would you honestly say to them?
Hmm. Would say that it's it's about the customer, about helping them and what they need, what they want to get accomplished to help them succeed.
Okay. And I would elaborate a little bit more on this area. I feel that this is where you could really close a deal in terms of um, giving yourself, an edge over somebody else, because most people come in, oh, I don't like sales, everything sells. I mean, that's even free stuff are sold. What I mean by that is, you know, you got to get somebody to take it. You can give away free stuff and nobody wants it, and or you can give away good free stuff and people are gonna love it. And so everything has to do with a transaction, and ultimately, whether you pay for it or not, it's just kind of a sell. So I would definitely motivate yourself to give a well thought out answer if it's asked, and the odds are it will be asked.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm I've got like some slight speech problems. I need to learn how to elaborate a little more.
I don't I
I don't
don't
know.
I don't feel that you have a speech problem. I feel that I feel that you're very sincere and honest, and so you're giving short answers not because you couldn't translate or transmit that response. I think you just don't have the depth at this point to be able to fill that void. So it's more of a you got to get a little more experience under yourself with some of these basic things, and I think you would do fantastic. In fact, I think you would do amazing. So don't don't beat yourself too much. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we cover the sales aspect, and people are going to ask you that, and I think is appropriate. Now that the sales questions out of the way, do you have previous experience in sales?
um, I have some. I mean, it wasn't my primary job, but when help was needed in another department, I happened to do pretty well. It was Target, and I went to electronics for helping someone, and I sold the Xbox.
Okay, so you worked at Target and you sold an Xbox.
Yes,
Where else did you work?
Home Depot.
Okay, wait a minute. You worked at Target. You worked at Home Depot. Where else?
I worked at, well, Taco Bell.
Okay, Taco Bell. Hmm. Okay, so let's talk about what did you do at Target?
I was just a cashier.
Okay, so who is the last? Where is the last stop for somebody buying something?
The cashier.
Okay, the cashier. And as a cashier, you never had the opportunity to upsell anything?
Well, yes, actually, to promote our cards, both Home Depot and Target has their own card that we need to promote, and I have gotten a lot of people to sign up for that. So I really didn't think about that.
Okay, so see, that's where you draw a little bit of the experience. Taco Bell, come on. Would you like to upsize this? Do you never ask somebody if they want a small, medium, or large?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so you did some upselling there.
Okay, so it all counts. That's really cool.
Absolutely. That's something that you bring to the forefront. Yeah, absolutely. I think that nowadays, I mean, and I would get just a little. I mean, because there are going to be companies again that are going to be very thorough when it comes to figure out what kind of attitude you have towards sales. So you would say absolutely. Every single job that I had, I was presenting an opportunity to do sales. For example, we all have been through our through the fast food lane. And when I was there, I was presenting opportunities every single time I spoke to a customer. Do you want to upsize your tacos or whatever? I don't know what Taco Bell does. And then at Home Depot, it was consistently looking out for the customer. For example, if a customer wanted this specific part, and I knew for a fact that part was not necessarily the best one for what they were trying to accomplish or trying to get done. I mean, I would recommend the better part, and I think sales is about making sure the customer is always taken care of, and that was the case. And so, I did the same in Target. I was the last, stopping point at Target, and given the fact that I took the money, I always, had the opportunity to provide them an additional method of getting a card or whatever you did there. You just take that experience, Christina, and share with whoever's interviewing you. Otherwise, you're losing on a lot of valuable experience. Remember, you're not going into this thinking, I'm just going to do okay. You got to leave everything on the field. You got to just knock it out of the park. That makes
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Okay.
This is good information.
Perfect. Perfect. So, all right. So you got sales experience because you. All right. Let me ask you the question again. Let me hear your evolved thought process here now. Okay, because you have so much experience, and you're probably gonna be asked. Give me an example of a time when you had to sell something. And so let's go ahead and ask you that later on. But first of all, um, do you have sales experience?
Hmm. Yes, yes, I do. Um, I worked at Target and I would offer our red card to all my customers and let them know how, you could save 5% on your whole purchase. And I got a lot of people to sign up as well as Home Depot. We also offered a credit card there, as the same as Target. But also, when a customer needed to find something, I'd help them out, tell them where to get their things. Okay, that's not sales. Scratch that part.
Okay,
So,
I like the way you started out, but here's where I caught you caught my attention. Ev-
like the
no,
longer I speak, the more nervous I get, and I just jumble up my words.
it's okay, but that's why practice is so important. Uh, let's go back to what you said about 5%. Remember what I said. It's always about helping the customer. You
Hmm.
know, one of the things that you saw when people came up to the register is that they could benefit from an extra discount. So Target offers, whatever you said, a card that if you sign up for it, you would get a 5% off on the purchase. So to help the customer, and this is a perfect opportunity to demonstrate how you can help customers. See, a lot of people they do sales, but they don't see how they're helping the customers, and even if they're helping, they just miss that point. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say. Start off with how you help the customer, say 5%, and how that became an opportunity for you, to whatever, sell the red card. All right, so let's try that one more time, okay?
Okay.
All right. Have you had an opportunity to do sales?
Yes, sir. I've had my opportunity to do sales when I worked at Target. We offer all our customers that come through our lines to um, sign up with our red card, our Target red card. It's a credit card that saves 5% on every purchase.
So that's where I want you to go back to this lesson and just listen to what I'm saying, okay?
Okay.
Start off with the opportunity. Every time a customer reached my count, my what is it called? The counter, or what do you call it? My
Um,
register.
our register, that was where you,
Every time my customer reached my registered, every single time, I saw a very awesome opportunity to help them save 5%. And that's what I did by offering them the red card. See, again, you start with your why. Why are you doing it? To help the customer save 5%. It's a great tactic for people that don't do it for that right reason, but it's a great tool for the customer. So that's why it's so important for you to understand the power and the value of helping a customer out. Unless you understand that part, then everything else will make sense to you when it comes to delivering a clear, concise message about what you're doing.
okay, that is awesome.
All
I
right.
need to practice.
Yeah, that's it. You just need to practice. I'm way overdue on this part, so that's why I'm 36 years old, so I've been through the whole growing up thing, So to me, it comes natural in that sense to understand why I would do it, And I can understand it, at a younger age, it might be a little more difficult to comprehend that, but that's why I'm giving you that tool. You don't have to wait 10 years to learn that. You're learning it right now.
Oh, you're awesome.
All right. So one more time, we want to try it and then we'll move on. 'Cause I won't beat you on this one. I just want you to see how you continue to evolve. So have you done sales before?
Yes, I've done sales while I worked at Target. Every time a customer came to my register to check out, I offered them our 5% discounted card. It's a credit card, but they save 5% on every purchase.
See, start off with why you offer them the card first.
Okay, okay.
Why? Why? Every time the customer came to my register, I saw the opportunity for them to save 5% as a benefit to them. You know,
Okay,
See, that's the part that I want you to get. Why are you doing it? Not that you did it. Why did you do it? That's gonna help you.
okay.
Okay, so let's move on. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, do you recall a specific time when you did that and you were able to sell a card, or you were able to upsize a meal, or help a customer get a better product?
Well, I've helped a customer who is very, very displeased become happy again, pretty much. Does
Okay.
does that fall in that category?
How did you do it?
That was at Taco Bell. There was a lady who was pretty upset about going through this drive-through, and her food was not the right, how it was supposed to be, and she kind of threw it at the front counter, which was me.
She
But I
like you say she threw it. How did she throw it?
uh, with her hand. She threw it. It was
She's
a,
just
a
oh,
soft
she
taco.
like literally threw the food.
Yeah, it hit the cups behind me.
Oh wow, okay.
But I got to talking to her and calmed her down. And I don't don't interrupt me. I'm sorry. I calmed her down and I offered her um to fix her messed up meal. And I actually went back there and I fixed it myself because I was trained in every aspect of Taco Bell. I was training people. But anyway, I made her food for her, and I gave her something extra. I gave her uh, the cinnamon twist as well. And she was she was pretty pleased. She wasn't too happy with the drive-through people still, but she was happy with me.
So you de-escalated what could have been a very bad situation and made it really good.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. That's yeah, it does. But I know that you probably sold a lot, did a lot of upgrades, when you were working at Taco Bell. So I want you to think about the times that you had that one sales. You gotta come with a story. Remember, stories are great. You know, you come with somebody asks you a question. You have to have a story. You know, at least in this case, I would say, yeah, you know, and recall story. I do remember, and you're almost proud of that moment because you knew that you did something excellent, you know. And it's again, commission. Sometimes these places don't offer commission, and so you're doing it because you're helping the customer, right?
Yeah.
All right, so chew on that a little bit. Think about that part, your opening statement, your sales experience, what your thoughts on sales are, and that should help you out for that. Let's talk about the technical part. Um, you said that you have never worked for a web hosting company. Do you know what a 404 error is?
Yes. 404 means it's not found in majority of cases.
Okay, so 404 not found, and how do you remember that? Because I know that we didn't go into too much detail.
I did more research on it so I could study it a little more. I wrote it down and stuff.
Okay, so you did a little bit of research, wrote it down, and now you know what a 404 is.
Yes.
Did you study all the 400 errors or no?
Yeah.
Okay, 401.
Means unauthorized.
That is
Uh,
that is great. I'm glad you said that because I'll be honest with you, a lot of people don't know what a 401 is. You know, I tend to forget what a 401 is, but that's great. So unauthorized. Um, yeah. So a 403. What would a 403 error be?
for forbidden.
Okay. Perfect. 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 404.
Mm, not found.
Give me an example of 404.
um, usually if you don't type the URL right, like say it's a dead or it could be a dead link, a broken dead link too. It just doesn't exist.
Okay. Did you study the 500 errors?
Yes,
What is a 500 error?
that's an internal error.
Internal server error. And you said that you have never worked for a web hosting company again.
Yeah, I never
Oh wow! But see, you knocked those out of the park. Great job.
have.
All right, so let's talk about cPanel.
Okay.
What is cPanel?
Panel. That's where you. Hmm. Oh wow. I'm not. I know what cPanel is, but I don't know how to explain it.
You might want to brush up on that.
Yes.
So put on there what is cPanel. That's gonna be a very crucial item to know. So even though you don't know about cPanel, what it is, but how do you access your cPanel dashboard?
You do it by going to https colon // domain name colon 28. I'm sorry, 2083 for a secure connection.
Okay.
And there's multiple ways to access it as well. You can also use 2082 for a non-secure connection. Or in place of the domain name, you can also use an IP address.
Perfect. Knocked it out of the park. So, and you say you don't know what a cPanel is, but you know how to access a cPanel?
I don't know what's wrong with me at the moment.
All right. Tell me what if once you access a cPanel, what kind of tools are inside of a cPanel? Name a few.
There's PHP My Admin or like the insides where you can see the information like you can change your password or find your username or your email address. It's also how you install WordPress to your domain name.
Hmm. Any other thing that you can think of?
Mm, I'm not certain.
File manager, backup. Though I would at least study about file manager. I would
Um,
study about backups. Remember, these are some of the main tools that people are going to be utilizing. You can also create an email account inside of cPanel. So the cPanel email portal is there as
and
well.
then this too is just that mind block. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on.
So um, there's also a few things in there that you might want to know. There's something called webmail. Webmail
What?
base webmail, and
Okay.
inside of webmail, there's three different clients that people utilize. One of them is like Roundcube, and there's a few other ones. And so what you want to do is go inside of cPanel, maybe look into the webmail. I think I mentioned this. I'm gonna do a follow up on this specific course. Maybe I do a 3 day follow up with some of the tools inside of cPanel. So
Okay.
you might want to watch that. Watch or partake in that lesson.
Okay.
All right, so we have webmail. That you can like I said, study the three different clients that are offered through there, and that will also be very helpful. You also need to learn how to create email accounts just for security purposes. Now that you know about a little bit about cPanel, you said PHP My Admin. Tell me about PHP My Admin.
Oh, okay. You can find your usernames. You can edit them. You can change your password. Um, change username, email, and password. Pretty much. That's going through users, but there's a lot of other information in there that I'm not 100% experienced in.
Okay, all right. So So those are yeah. Never say that. Don't, I'm not 100%. Just name what you know and just leave it at that. Um,
Okay.
the other thing that I want to ask you is WordPress. What can you tell me about WordPress?
WordPress. Hmm. Install it by first logging into cPanel. You can type in the search bar for Softaculous and click WordPress, and then make sure you're on your domain name, and then create an admin and password, and then install it. But WordPress is pretty much where you set up your site, pretty much like your title and everything.
Have
You
you,
install your theme.
have you worked with WordPress before?
Um, would I say yes with that? Like since I've had this training?
Absolutely. I mean, you have probably more training than most people that that are starting out for a position. Yeah, I would say I have. Um,
Okay.
I created a site on it. And if they ask you what the site is, you just name the site.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I have experience in WordPress.
Working with it, using it. So how do you upload a theme?
Oh yeah, using it. Um, um, you go to your dashboard and appearance, and then you add new and upload theme. You can use websites to find free themes or purchase themes.
How do you access a dashboard?
Dashboard, it's usually in WordPress, like on the left uh, side, kind of.
What? So if I have a domain name and I want to access my WordPress dashboard, how would I do it?
Hmm. You would type in https:// your the domain name, and you do you'd write WP dash admin
There you go.
and
You yeah, you would write in typically WP-admin would get you there. You can always change that, but that would be an acceptable answer.
okay.
Um, what else have you done with WordPress that you can recall?
Hmm. I've created a lot of new pages. I've updated the permalinks on them. Hmm. Pretty much created a website through it.
Okay. Um, so let's do some basic troubleshooting.
Okay.
A customer calls you up and they're asking you, they're telling you, hey, I cannot see my website. What is wrong? How do you go about helping that customer? What would you suggest that the problem might be?
Hmm. Well, I'd ask if, maybe ask if they recently updated the name of the name server, because if they have recently, sometimes it takes like at least like 3 hours to propagate. So you
The
might.
so the time it takes, the official time is 24 to 48 hours. That's something that you want to keep in mind.
Oh, okay. Let me write that down. Okay.
All right, keep going.
Hmm. Can't see their start. Okay, I'm struggling with this one.
Okay. So the first thing that you mentioned, hey, yeah. So it might be the fact that they haven't pointed their name service to the domain name, but hey, before I do anything, the first thing that I'm gonna do is
Try to.
verify it, duplicate duplicate the issue, replicate the issue. So go to their website. So I will ask them to go ahead and give me their domain name. I will check their domain name first of all, and ensure that I am finding the same issue. So replicate is the first step. After you
Oh,
replicate and you can verify that it is the issue, then what you want to do at that point is one, start troubleshooting. For example, I would do a who is. Who is will show you if your name servers are pointing to that domain name. Two, I would check to see if their account is suspended. Typically, there's a suspension page that most web hosting companies put out, but just in case, I'm gonna check to make sure that it's not suspended in our account. You know, and just to verify that there are customers too, So I don't want to be replicating a lot of stuff and then find out that they're not even our customers. So those are three things you could do. One, check yourself. Two, make sure that the name servers are haven't been updated. Three, do a who is, and four, make sure that the payment hasn't been missed.
okay.
Okay, so those are things that you want to keep in mind if a customer's page is not active. All right. Um, so that's something that I want you to remember and just be confident about when you give that answer. Okay.
Okay.
Um, you know, it could be as simple too. If the customers, it could be a customer error. Are you typing in, hey, can you spell out can you spell out the domain name for me? Make sure stuff like that. And once you replicate it, it's easier to get to a solution because it might be if you can pull it up on your end, and and they cannot pull it up on their end. I mean, something that say let's use that example. So the customer calls in, you're able to pull it up on your end, and they are not able to pull it up on their end. What could be the issue?
They could have mistyped their domain name.
Sure. And also, so what would you suggest they do?
Um, to check the spelling just to make sure. I would maybe tell them how I spelt it, or ask them how they're supposed to be spelled and see if they notice while they're explaining to me.
What I would do in that situation is, yeah, I would verify it on my end, and I'm able to pull it up. Then I would do one more check, pull it up via proxy server,
Oh,
and say, okay, let me pull it up via the proxy server. And once you verify that you were able to pull it up via another server in your server, you can go back to the customer and say, look, I'm able to pull it up via my server and also via a proxy server. So let's try a couple of things. First of all, would you mind spelling that out again? And tell me how you're spelling it, because they could be just putting in the domain name in the browser and not putting .com, or maybe just putting everything together. You never know. I mean, you just don't want to take it for granted. And then
yeah.
the other thing that you want to do is, okay, well, why don't you clear your cache for me, your browser cache? Let's see if you have a some kind of a cache issue going on there. So those are two things that you might want to suggest as a possible solution.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have an issue with a domain name that you're able to pull up and they're not able to pull up, then you go again to try to balance the problem out. The last question that I will ask, and again, I wanted to spend a little bit of time on the on the sales side versus the technical side, because I'm pretty sure that the technical side is something you got down now. Um, if the agent says to you, the supervisor, whoever is interviewing you, they say, "Why should we hire you, Christina?" How do you respond to that?
I'm not sure what would be an appropriate response for that.
Oh, I'm asking. Say if I was asking you, "Hey, why should I hire you?"
Mm, Because I would be a good asset to your team. I will help y'all grow even further. Um, okay, I'm bad at this.
All right. So I want you to think about that. Why you're closing the deal now? That's the point. Now you have to close the deal. You know,
Oh,
you got in the interview. You made it all the way through. You gave solid answers. Why should we hire you? Think about that. Now, ask yourself, put yourself in the shoes of the company that's hiring you. Why are they hiring you to begin with? Because they need somebody, right?
yeah.
They're hiring you because they need you, because they want an ideal employee. They want somebody that can grow with them. You know, and so you have to give an answer that is truthful. And I won't do this one for you. I can't. I won't do this one for you because I want you to come up with your own answer on why the company should hire you. But it should be truthful. It should be something that comes from the heart. Still, I would I would emphasize the fact that on your end, I will emphasize the fact that if if a company is hiring, is because they have a specific need, and you feel that you are the solution to that need. At the same time, the company is benefiting you by giving you that opportunity. And so just think about that one very carefully. And those are the main questions that I think you're going to need to concentrate on while going to the interview.
Okay. Um, well, I'm definitely not gonna be a wasted hire. I'm punctual. I will be there every single day. I'm very focused and I really want to help the company grow and somewhere I want to be for a long time.
Are you dedicated?
Yes.
Okay, so you're dedicated. Now tell me, why are you still not with the other companies?
I, no, I don't, not sure what the other companies are. This is my first time applying for here, and I'm very interested in your company.
I meant with
Over to
why aren't you still with Home Depot, with Taco Bell, with Target?
Oh, all of those were relocation. I moved miles and miles away.
See, that's a good answer. That's a great answer, and I was hoping that you would provide an answer that did not bash the other companies, because one of the things that an employer does not want to hear is an employee bashing their own company. You know, you always find the common ground on what it is that you were able to benefit from that company, because honestly, you're always able to benefit from any experience. So what I would do is find a common ground, praise them for that common ground. It's very, very important. And, understand yourself that you benefited from those experiences. So never bash a company that you work for, especially with another interview. You always want to make sure that you stay focused on that specific, that specific detail.
Okay, absolutely.
All right, Christina. So you can mute your mic for a moment. Let me give you some final words before you mute your mic, and tell me, what did you manage to learn during this whole experience, these last 2 weeks where you were able to train here with us? And do you feel that it was worth it? I really would love to hear your feedback, and give me some of your honest feedback, okay?
Oh, okay, no problem. This was fun. This was great. I learned a lot. I learned not to pretty much don't say like like I need this for this reason. More like say make it equal, right? That's something I had an issue with. I wasn't doing very well. Learn how to have confident, solid answers instead of all my stumbling and stuttering. So I just need to practice on that some. Um, I learned some good stuff. I learned a lot of things that I need to practice on. Really, this was a fun experience. I really liked this.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for you taking the time. I'll let you mute the mic for a little bit, and I will go ahead and now start our interview with Mr. Manuel Said. Manuel Said, how are you?
Very good. Thank you very much. I'm really sorry that I just opened the computer. I was doing other chores and I just read your message and I said, oh my God, okay. I am here. I'm ready if you are.
I'm ready. Manuel Said in the house. Manuel, here's the thing
Yes.
about you, and I'll be blunt. I think you have a little bit of an advantage coming into this course with some background knowledge. Now, what I want you to do though is I want you to give me a synopsis of what you were able to learn through this process that you did not already know. What benefits do you feel you got out of this? But we'll start with the first question. What did you learn from this experience that you did not know before coming in?
Well, this introduction to WordPress is really important. Is something, as I mentioned, I was reluctant to go through, and it was like a push to do it. Okay, as you mentioned, I have some advantage. I have been trying to do things for developing some websites, just personally, no for a business. But well, it's really important what you have given to us. This opportunity to see or to break something or something that you have in your mind that say, I will never go through that. And I'm referring to WordPress. And it's very important. And not also, it opens the mind to do other things. And at this point, they said, well, I think it is an opportunity to continue learning and researching since the very first time that I asked you for the opportunity to have the course. I said, well, I'm really interested in the knowledge, and if I learn something, nobody's going to take it from me in any form. And I really, really appreciate what I have learned, and this introduction to cPanel, and then I had to reach cPanel in other forms, and to go through some of the steps of basic for the cPanel, and finally going through WordPress a little a little, not just a little garbage. It went a little well, because I have been trying to find much more information through the internet, but it is a lot. It's enormous, you know. But you open the door. You help us to see the horizon, and now I remember that in one of these searching that I was doing, it was saying, well, if you touch really WordPress and you think that you know something and you really understand it, I think you are going to be touched and you are never going to leave it. And I think it is a learning time life experience.
Well, I agree with you. You have had the privilege actually to kind of hang out with us, in more upper level meetings. And as you notice, even when I'm looking at something, a new feature in WordPress that I'm not aware of, there's always a solution. It just requires a little bit of research. And I'll be honest with you, it'd be very selfish of me to say that we have all the answers, because that's not the case. There's always a learning curve, and there's always something new to learn.
Yes.
So that was a perfect example of just being able to see what we've been able to do with some of the WordPress stuff that we're working on. Manuel, let me ask you a couple of the questions that will typically be asked in an interview. One of the questions would be, um, have you would you mind, if asked, would you mind doing sales?
Doing sales?
Sales.
Oh, okay, selling. Oh, no, no, for sure not.
Okay. So
No,
what would
no.
you say? Would that be your full answer to the person asking you the question? No, no, I would not mind doing sales. Or would you elaborate any more on that?
Well, sales is the like the mechanism that it moves every business, and then for sure, I'm not worried about sales.
Okay. Okay, question number one is sales. Okay. Tell me a time when you had to sell something to somebody.
Well, uh, the time that I have to sell something is if I have a product, and I am sure that the product is good and it can solve some of the problems or the problems that the person is having. I think the sale is done if I introduce in the correct form to the knowledge of that person about my product.
Okay. Okay, so do you recall a specific time though when you did a sale?
Uh, I don't understand the question.
Do you recall a specific time when you had to sell a product to someone?
Well, I have been selling all my life, and then I am an artist, as you know, and then as soon as I finish my product, I try to sell it, and I am fortunate, and then I have sold many of them.
Okay. All right, let's go to the technical questions. What is a 400 error?
Is a bad request.
Okay. What about a 404 error?
Is a not found document.
Perfect. How do you access cPanel?
To the going with the domain, And then if it is not in a secure form, colon 2082, or if it is in a secure form, it's domain colon 2083,
Okay. Um,
HTTP or
n-
HTTPS.
name a few tools inside of cPanel.
All the file manager, um, the email account, um, what else? The access to install WordPress. What else you need?
I'm just asking.
You
Any
want, you
any
want,
any that you want to name?
well, I was at the beginning with the file manager. That is the
Oh,
really important thing because it's going to have
all
the
right.
content that you want to publish. You know?
No problem. Let's move on to the last question. Have you worked with WordPress before?
Yes, many years ago, and during the course, I told you and I comment that I was surprised how it has improved because it's really it was a content management system, but it was like very difficult to learn and very complicated, and you really need to be a little savvy to understand it. But now it's really like a click of a button and you have it. You know, it's really amazing, and because it's an open source creation and licensing, it is all the world working in it. It is so many people that it is involved in it, and then the result is all these tools and all this information that you have for free that really can help you to enhance and to do and to really make satisfaction for the person that you're working, or even for yourself if you are trying to do something for yourself. It's an amazing tool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Manuel. And I do want to thank all the audience that have tuned in to this specific course. 10 lessons that we do hope are going to help you achieve a better result in your interviews. And I'll say one thing: if you did take the full course, you'll get at least enough material to be able to get into interview and feel confident about the questions that they're going to be asking. So until next course, thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.